Welcome to Agripreneur, a program that looks at the Nigerian agricultural sector and what it is doing differently. Today we have come to Kano to find out the opportunity that is in farm dairy. Dairy farming is raising mother animals, mostly cows, and using their milk to feed humans for personal consumption or commercial purposes. Understanding dairy farming in Nigeria can easily be associated to the local Fulani herders. While the herdsmen go in search for water and fodder supply, the women take responsibility of selling the cow milk. However, farm dairy has gone beyond the local production of Fulani women.
If you look at all these parameters, I think dairy fits in comfortably into all this. For economic desirability, it has the capacity to serve the country foreign exchange. It provides job for the teeming youth. It's a source of nutrition for the citizenry. And when it comes to technical feasibility, it's something that the country is used to for hundreds of years. In fact, we're all born to find ourselves that herdsmen are always around us, tendering to their cattle. So it tells you that the environment is good for cattle rearing, and you can just commercialize it. When you look at the commercial viability, you don't need anyone to tell you when foreign countries dump over 1.3 billion worth of dairy products on us annually. So if you can key into that, you'll make a good chunk of money for yourself. So all the parameters that will make a business exist favors dairy as a business. You can start actually in any of the chain. It's a complete value chain from production through processing to marketing. At any of the chain, you can jump into it. You can either backward integrate or forward integrate as you like. So I think dairy is a good business, and it's all it has been established that it's one of the best impact investment because it empowers the youth, the women, and those at the bottom of the pyramid. So dairy business has transformed families in India, in Kenya, and so many developing and developed countries. And there are a lot of countries that don't have oil, they don't have natural resources, but they depend solely on dairy as their major source of foreign exchange. Netherlands is a case in hand. So I feel that 1001 things will be said about dairy, and we can't get it wrong.
Milk is an excellent source of vitamins and minerals. It is produced locally in Nigeria and consumed daily, but the production is yet to meet the commercial demand, attributed to issues surrounding the process of production. According to the former Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Sabo Nanono, despite the potentials in the dairy industry, 60% of dairy products consumed in the country are imported, while the remaining 40% are produced locally. The minister had earlier mentioned that Nigerian dairy product importers stand at about $1.5 billion. Although Nigerian farmers have taken advantage of dairy farming, a robust agricultural sector, to produce milk in commercial quantity, but still, it is not enough due to cost of production.
Dairy business is just like any other production business that does not happen over time. It does not happen within a nick of time. It takes time to mature. So there are hurdles along the line, but you fall, you start all over, you fall until you get it right, and so it's a business that is capital intensive and time consuming. So really you have to have good patience to do dairy business. That's just it. The initial capital might not be much. You can start with 2 cows, 3 cows, but you grow over time. So you can see it depends on your appetite for risk, and you can start with small quantities or high quantities of high number of cows. But the banks that are supposed to finance you, unfortunately, they're very skeptical when it comes to financing agribusiness, and more so when it's dairy, that is riskier than normal agribusiness. So we have a lot of hurdles to cross as investors when it comes to dairy production, when it comes to establishment of dairy business by entrepreneurs.
Commercial dairy farming is mostly demanding. For high-yield milk, the Nigerian cattle breed cannot provide the required quantity to meet the commercial market. Investors have devised means of inseminating the local cows so they can produce a breed that can resist the Nigerian weather with increased quality milk.
When we talk about dairy farm animals, we are talking about milk, because the farm is into producing yogurt. So it is from the milk that has been processed, that has been converted to get yogurt. And that is why the choice of the dairy animal is the Frisian animal that we already have here. So that is basically the choice. The Frisian animal from history are dairy animals that are very good in producing milk. And that is why the choice is being targeted on them. We have other species, but the Frisians is the largest of all. So that's why we bring them in and then use them so that we'll have high milk production, so that we'll be able to see how we can get more milk to produce yogurt to the whole world. But we started with 5 indigenous breeds. What I mean by indigenous breed is our own local animals that we have here. So we adapt a system of crossbreeding. So what we do, we get the 100% pure breed of the semen from outside, and then we import them here, and then we cross them by artificial insemination. So we cross the local ones so that we'll be able to get our offsprings. The offsprings that we get, that's the female basically, which is our target. Those are the animals that we use. We cross them because we want them to get adapted to the environmental factors that we have here. If we import the 100% pure, their means of survival is in fact zero, because maintenance and other things will be difficult. But once we cross them, we are trying to transfer the gene of the local ones into the Frisian 100% that we have here, so that they will be able to adapt to the weather and the environmental factors of this canoe here. And that is why it's based on the crossbreeding that we have. You can even see most of the animals that we have, they are basically crosses here. We don't have pure, but as we crossbreed, we improve them into getting to a purer stage. We have the first filial, we have the second filial, we have the third. Basically, we are in the 4th filial generation now, and which of course we want to go further to see how we can cross more, because we are still practicing artificial insemination. We don't do a natural mating, which is using a bull to mount. We practice artificial insemination here.
According to data from Statista, Nigeria has the 5th largest cattle herds in Africa, with a cattle population estimated at 20.7 million and is expected to grow to 53.6 million by 2050. Even with this number of cattle, the country's dream of becoming a milk-producing nation is still far-fetched.
When you're talking of dairy, you're talking of the milk. You're not talking of the cows, so to say. So we have examples of countries that they have small number of cows. They have high milk yield. I think you'll have average yield per cow in some of these advanced countries to about 30 liters per day. And we equally have countries that have number of cows that have a very minimal yield, and we have a 2-liter average yield per cow in such countries. So if you want 1,000 liters, it doesn't matter. It could be produced by 5 cows, depending on the literage the cows give, and it could be produced by 1,000 cows. So I always wonder why, as a country, that we need to provide jobs and we have an ample number of idle youth that will be willing to join into business that will be talking about reducing the number of cows that give us milk by having few cows with large volume of milk. I think we should be looking at our current yield and see how we key in all the necessary indices that will transform this milk into hygienic drink that can easily get into the market. That should be the concern, and this does not mean that fewer cows, more volume. It only means that each liter of milk produced should be harnessed. And once you harness that milk and you get it to the processors at the right quantity and at the right quality, you are done with your job. Then what remains is for the government to make it mandatory or to make it viable for a processor to buy the local milk.
For quality and quantity of milk production in a dairy farm, constant feed cannot be compromised. The animals must be well fed. Unlike herders who roam in search for food, here these cattle are confined and provided with feed. In that order, the feed offered to the cows are well measured and intended.
From the first inside, you can see this is a zero grazing shed. It means that the animals don't go out for grazing. And it also means that we get feed for them and we bring them here and they survive for what we. So we normally formulate feeds. The roughages we formulate. Formulation includes some of this residue, like the maize residue, the rice straw. Then we have the wheat offal or maize offal, whichever one you use. Then we have molasses, which is very, very important as part of the additive mixture. So we have a chopper that chops all these things into a smaller particles, about 2 to 5 centimeters. And then once we chop, we mix them in a mixer and then mix it very well with other additives I've mentioned, like the molasses, the wheat offal. So we mix them there, and once we mix, it's a balance and a maintenance ration, and it is good for both the lactating animals and even the heifers that we are trying to prepare them to come into lactation. So it's a balanced ration that we do to feed them. Then after that, again, we supplement them in the evening with concentrate. We have the dry concentrate, we have the milking concentrate too. So we supplement those that are not in the lactating stage, meaning those that we are not milking. We have a dry concentrate that we give them. Then those that we milk them, at the point of milking, we give them supplement, that's a lactating concentrate. So these are the two things we use. We have the roughages that contain some of these chaffs that we have. And then we have the supplements, which is the concentrate that we give them. In the ruminants that we have there, the large ruminants, you can give them as much feed as they can get. But which means that if you don't curtail them, then it means that you'll be running at loss. So there is a certain kg of feed that you give to get what you want from a lactating animal. So meaning if you give them what surpasses that what you are supposed to, you are wasting. It's a business farm. So we calculate based on their body weight system. So this is a ration. So kg we give to a certain animal, and that animal will give us what we want from that animal. So if we give them much, it means you are overfeeding and then you are running at loss. Because this is a farm that is set for business. We do our calculation based on what? On the cost implication that we have here. So it is advisable that an animal will be able to take about 15 to 18 kg of roughages.
For a dairy farm like this, even with these number of cattle, producing milk to meet up the consumption capacity is taxing. To explore more of its potentials, dairy farmers set up collection centers where milk from the local herders can be accumulated and further processed.
Muna mu'amala da Fulani sosai haka. Idan suka kawo madara karfe 8 na safe zuwa karfe 1 na rana suke gama kawowa. To just idan mutum ɗaya idan ya kawo madaran shi za a auna ta a skeli, sannan a zuwa auna ta a testing ɗinta. Idan an yi testing ɗinta idan tana da kyau za a karɓa, sannan idan ba ta da kyau za a maida wa mutum a washi. Idan tana da kyau mutum za a ɗauki madaran shi 1 spoon haka a sa a cikin container a shaking ɗinta. In an sa a container za a zuba a ethanol a ciki, za a yi shaking ɗinta. Idan an yi shaking za a duba a hannu haka kamar zashi. Idan tana da kyau za ka gani, idan ba ta da kyau noma za ta koma kamar kindirmo haka ta yi bacci, to wannan ba za ta karɓu ba.
The collection centers have encouraged a sedentary scheme of Fulani people. Instead of going about in search for customers, they sell their milk to dairy farms.
Once Agric is turned into a business, we have our cows, as you will have seen, and these are high milk yielding cows. But as market opens up, opportunities come around, we cannot meet the market demand for our products because of its quality rating, and we can't compromise by mixing with some pseudo dairy elements. So we had to look inwards and see how we can boost our raw material source, and that was when we now studied what India was doing or Kenya was doing, and we came back and start establishment of milk collection centers in some of the localities where we organized the pastoralists into cooperatives and encouraged them, which was by no means a difficult task, to start agreeing with us to stop hawking milk and taking it into the towns and just give us the raw milk, and we pay them their money at even a higher rate than what the milk what they get from the market. And this was done successfully. After a pilot scheme, we continued with it and we continue to grow. I'm happy to say that we are the first company to do this in the entire country. And after we've done it successfully, some multinationals, some locals, some also saw its viability and they ventured into it. And when this backward integration policy was now brought about, then we became the poster boys for a lot of these activities, and we're happy to say that we pioneered it. We started it in Nigeria, and as at now I think we have about 10 or so companies that are doing something similar. And if we have a lot of companies doing this and government continue to encourage it and incentivize it, ultimately I can tell you even the crisis we're having with the pastoralists will be history, because once they are organized and sedentarized into one place, you can easily take census of them. You know who is where somebody is going, and then this ranching becomes endemic, and that's one that's done, then movement with cattle becomes needless. And so once you stop movement and you know where somebody is and you have his identity, then I think tracking such persons will be much easier, and it will be difficult for him to engage in a crime that he will become elusive.
With the high cost of agricultural produce in the market, dairy farmers suffer from lack of sufficient feed.
At a point in time, we have scarcity of some of these food materials. Like the maize, we don't grow it, but we go out from people that farm it to get. So at times, we don't have enough. So we have to change to other things now. Even if it means that it will affect our production, we have to change so that we have to what? The animals will have to survive. For example now, maize is richer compared to rice straw. So by the time you use the maize residue and you are out of stock, you have to go back to rice straw because that is what you have. But then you have to make a good formulation again. Do some additives so that you will be able to what? Complement the other ration that you have missed. So at times we have challenges because of scarcity around. We don't grow them, but we have scarcity around. It's one of the major challenges there. And because people know that we go around to what? To get it. So the price of those things increases too. So these are challenges. So as a farm manager, once I see all these things, I try to see how I can cut down costs, get the best formulation with a cheaper price, so that I will be able to get my result from the animals. So these are challenges. It has to do with a lot of thinking, a lot of concentration. So that's why, just like you said, there are challenges here. And some of even the raw materials that we use to formulate the concentrate too, at times we don't have. So we have alternatives for others. If that other one is not there, we have alternatives for others. That makes it a bit easier. But the residues, we have challenges, especially season like this. And the other residues, like the rice straw too, we have challenges because we have other farms too that compete. Yes, we have other farms too that go around to scarce for all these residues and then get it at the best price. If we are going for a cheaper price, they come and they get it at a higher price. They are making things more difficult for us.
Aside from cattle feeds, which could become a challenge, government policies and intervention is another.
Yeah, the challenges in the country is, most importantly, is policy. The policy in its entirety is against local production. So there must be a deliberate attempt by the government to incentivize local production. That's just it. And one of the ways is encourage investment in this sector by providing providing an atmosphere that is friendly to investment in dairy, like when you talk about artificial insemination subsidized, if you like, or making it much easier to bring in exotic semen to crossbreed your animals. You talk about vaccinations availability and cheap and drugs for your animals, and you also talk about land, which is a major factor in livestock production. There must be a way federal government and states come together and agree. We have a lot of land bushes where even criminals are hiding to perpetrate a lot of crimes. We can convert all those into massive pastures or further production, or even paddocks that some of us that are interested can send their cows there, particularly if security is assured. So we a lot of things that government needs to do, and we don't need to reinvent the wheel. All we need to do is let's go and understand what other countries that have done this successfully are doing, or they have done, and then we just copy from them. And one of the things is then again, you encourage the importation of things that encourage local production, like machinery for dairy production at a very low or zero duty, and then increase the tariff for the products, dairy products coming into the country. So this is the only way that dairy production will just pick up, and so this is the industrial challenge, which also is our own challenge as members of that industry.
However, with the effort put in place by the Nigerian dairy farmers, consumers have their opinion over the processed product.
Yeah, they are both nice, but I prefer the local one than the one processed in the shops. If I may give instance, there was a time I bought this, I don't want to call the products, so it should not be condemning a product, but there was a time I bought one product, is a processed one. They did it, they added some milk, tin pig milk on it, and do the furrow and everything. So I took it, but later it disturbed me seriously that night. I have to rush to the hospital. Sometimes, you know, our people, they don't take things that we consume, they don't do it properly, because they don't look at the hygiene part of it, you know, which is very important. So I think that day I took that one that was really disturbing me on my tummy. I thought maybe they left something, maybe fell inside, or an insect or something like that, that makes it that way. If not, it's just abnormal.
It's raw, it's natural, and we all believe in natural something. You understand? So that is and the other one is processed. So we believe that the raw one will give us more nutrients, original nutrients, than the processed one. So that's what I believe. That is the way I can differentiate between.
Dairy farm has no doubt a lot of potentials in the country. It can help lift hardest community out of poverty and as well help boost the economy of the state. With the current dairy farming not meeting the market demand, these can further encourage investors to tap into the sector. Well, farm dairy is an interesting business, but as interesting as this may be, it is capital expensive. On that note, thank you for being part of today's program of Agripreneur. Why not join us some other time for another interesting episode? I am Gaza Yakubu.